Well, to study more about rotational dynamics, like how we have seen about the velocity, acceleration, and velocity is the rate of displacement, and so on for linear motion. On the same lines, here also we have to study the certain definition that exists for rotational motion. And to start with, it is inertia. Well, what is inertia is what we have to know in the first place. Well, when you are in motion, then suddenly with a jerk there will be some opposition to that motion. That opposition is what is called inertia. Opposition can be there for anything. A body is at rest and body is at rest, suddenly it is pushed. This is the inertia for the body. Supposing by my side somebody is walking with me and he is about to stamp a dirt. I pull him with a jerk so that he will not stamp it. First thing he will do is oppose my pull. Even though I am doing good, still he will oppose me. Man, that is inertia. So, most of the time inertia will be for the good only. Okay. So it will oppose, it will be against, but it will be for good reasons. If the inertia is more, it is easy for a body to come to rotation. If the inertia is more, then it is difficult for the body to stop it. And that is why what happens is, for a better inertia, we try to keep the mass at a very long distance. For example, from here, you have got this. And there are a lot of supports. You have seen this in many applications. And you will find that in certain applications, the maximum weight will be at the ends, at the outer end. So weight will be there at the outer end, more mass will be there at the outer end. Inertia is mass into radius square. So for this mass, you can see that the radius about the center of rotation will be more if the mass is at the outer end. When the radius is more, moment of inertia will also be more. So once you somehow give rotation to it, it will rotate for a long distance without any interruption. So that is moment of inertia. See, like how resistance is there for an applied force resistance. So like that here for rotation, equivalent to the resistance what we are having is the moment of inertia acting opposite. Okay. So you have got a small idea about inertia. Inertia in a way is equivalent to the moment. Moment is force into the radius. We have already equivalent to the force here is torque. You see, force multiply R, force multiply R will be equal to the torque we have studied. Force for linear motion. Because rotation is there about some radius, therefore R also will be included for the force acting. So force and radius combined will be taken into account. Now, about this point, when a force is acting, you can see that this force about the radius will be force multiplied by the perpendicular distance about the center. Coincidentally, that perpendicular distance happens to be the radius. That is why here about the center, when you want to take the moment, it becomes force into the perpendicular distance, force multiplied perpendicular distance, which incidentally is equal to the radius. Therefore, for moment of a force, rotating bodies particularly, another name is force multiplied radius. And force multiplied radius has got another name which is torque. That also we have studied before. Moment of a force is also called torque. So here you are going to see that there will be too much of involvement of torque when we study the remaining definitions further, which is there for rotational motion. Okay. Now, Inertia itself is, well, combination of, you see, when my friend is walking along the road, I find that he is going to put his leg on some dirt. I pull him. Now, when I pull him from a far off distance, it is easy for him to move towards me. If I pull him very, very close to the body, his body, it is going to be difficult for me. So that is why distance is also important when it comes to inertia. So force and distance combination, that distance for rotating bodies will be the radius only. So that is why in a way indirectly you can say that inertia is force or maybe mass multiplied radius. So the inertia I, you can indirectly say that is equal to mass into radius. Moment of inertia. If inertia itself is mass multiplied radius, which is something like a moment, so moment of inertia will be moment 2 times. That is why moment of inertia is having another name called second moment. Second moment or moment of inertia, both are same. Okay, so inertia is the opposition to the existing process. Opposition to the existing motion, means opposing the motion. When motion is there, it will oppose the mass. That is inertia. And when motion is not there, it will bring motion. So, to the existing process. Moment of inertia. It is the second moment. Just put the second moment, that is enough. The second moment. And let us now try to understand what exactly does this second moment mean. You have to understand one more thing. You see, this moment of inertia is particle based. What I mean to say is that if this body is taken into consideration, it will have lot of particles. The moment of inertia that you have to find for the whole body is by taking the moment of inertia of each particle, add them up. Supposing for all this distance R1, R2, R3, R4 are all there. Cannot take the average distance and also the moment of inertia of the entire body. No, it cannot be found. Another thing is that how you took some point for finding the moment of your force, that is torque. Some point you take moment of a force about this point. So like that here, a line is taken into account. And when a body is rotating, normally we find the moment of inertia about the point of rotation, rotating about the point. So moment of inertia about the center. Fine, that is correct. So like that, now let us take a line AB. So now you will understand what is meant by particle based. So many particles are there. For the first particle, let us say that the mass is m1, and from the fixed line AB, the distance is r1 or x1, whatever you call it. So inertia will be m1 r1. One more time you take momentum, it will be m1 into r1, one more r1, so it will be m1 r1 square, that will be the value of the moment of inertia of this particle. So like that for another point. Point A, point B, and so on. The moment of inertia of this point B, for which the mass is m2 and the distance is r2 from the fixed line AB, will be m2 into r2, that is inertia, one more r2, so that will become m2 r2 square, which will be moment. For inertia I am taking moment, so it is called the moment of inertia. And when r2 I have already taken moment for the inertia, one more time when I take the moment, that is called moment of inertia, and That is why when I take moment 2 times, that is why it is known as the second moment. Okay. So like that for another body. I'm sorry, for another particle, M3. From the fixed line, this line is fixed. You cannot keep changing close or near or far away. So for this, let us take the distance to be equal to R3. For this point, the moment of inertia will be M3 R3, one more R3, so M3 R3 square. So like that, the moment of inertia for the entire body about the line AB will be I, entire body. So I will be equal to first body M1 R1 square plus the second body plus M2 R2 square and plus the third body M3 R3 square and so on. It goes up to the last particle. So it will be Mn Rn square. So the sum of all this in mathematics is given the symbol summation of mass into radius square for all particles. That is the summation. So that will be the value for the moment of inertia. Okay. Then we will now see as to what is the other definition shown here called the radius of gyration. And one thing, dear students, if you look into the percentage of the total question asked from laws of motion or say mechanics, it is nearly 10%. Thermodynamics alone, it is 10%. So like that, you will find that whatever we have covered of the +1 syllabus, that whole lot, whatever we have covered till now, from that it is 40%. So that is why the +1 mechanics, +1 syllabus for physics is all the more important than that of the +2 syllabus. It doesn't mean that you can ignore +2. That also carries at least 35%. So 35 plus 40 from +1 is 75%. The remaining 25% can be from anywhere. One extra question from 3-4 chapters, that's all over. So that will be another 25. So that is why if you are very well versed with the important chapters of the +1 syllabus, there is more chances of you to get selected, that is for getting a rank. So now the next one is the radius of gyration. You see, lot of explanations are given in the books, and well, for senior people, that is having more experience, they can understand all that without much difficulty, but not for beginners, particularly the students. So I would like to put forth some other presentation which is for everybody is easy to understand. What we will do is we will keep on hitting the body, tapping the body everywhere from all the directions. So it become thinner and lengthier. So at one point of time, it will be becoming like a rod, this one. So it is a rod. Now same mass means this rod. Bring it to this area. Same straight line I am taking. Same straight line. So masses for this body, M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, M6, M7 and so on. So like that these masses only we have scattered here also, M1, M2, M3, M4, etc., etc. This rod, because masses are all distributed on the same line, that is why that distance R1, R2, R3 all will be equal. M1 into R1, M2 into R2 and so on. There R1, R2, R3 are all equal. So let us take it equal to R therefore. Or you can put it as a small k, choice is yours. So if the body that is under consideration is beaten to form a length, a rod, then every particle will be at the same distance from the fixed line AB. From the fixed line AB. So now what will be the moment of inertia of the different particles? It will be m1 into r. One more time, second moment. Another one, m1, m2, sorry, m2 into. For that also distance is the same, so r squared. And so on it goes up to the last mass, mn into r square. R is same for all. And that will be the moment of inertia of this entire bar, which is equivalent of this body. The fixed line is the same like before. So now what we will get, the moment of inertia for this entire body when it is in the form of a rod. The moment of inertia of the entire body when it is in the form of a rod is I equal to, everywhere r square is common. So if you take r square out, then you will get m1 plus m2 plus m3 plus last one say mn, and then for all of them r square is common. Now we have to add up only the masses. Previously we had to add up mass and r square for all the particles. Now only the mass. If you add up only the mass, then let us say that this I will be equal to total mass. When you add up everything, it will be total mass. This r square, I will now write it as k square. And I will call this moment of inertia as k. If ik is equal to I, that is this and this, if they are equal, then k is called the radius of gyration. So there is no other simpler method than to explain the radius of gyration by this method. Okay, then k is radius of gyration Okay. So we have got now an idea about the radius of gyration. Then afterwards, in connection with moment of inertia, there are certain theorem. The name of one theorem is the parallel axis theorem. And then the other one is the perpendicular axis theorem. We will first take the parallel axis theorem and after that the perpendicular axis theorem. So, okay, now let us take a body. There is one line. We will call that line as x or x1, x2, whichever way you want it. And this line is a fixed line like this line. There is one more line passing through the center of gravity. I will call that as G1, G2 or just Gg. We are taking a particular point, that is we are taking just a particle. That particle is point P. The distance of this particle from the center of gravity line is say A. The distance between, you see, through the center of gravity means center of gravity is only one point in the entire body. So through center of gravity means this line is also fixed. Both lines are fixed and the distance between them, let us say, is equal to x. Here please note two fixed lines between them, then distance. Between them, the distance x. X normally is taken for something that will change, variable. But here two fixed lines, that is now, that the distance between them is now taken as x. So x is a constant here. And you can also say that from the center of gravity line to the point P, the distance is a. This is equal to x. From that, if you remove a, the remaining distance will be equal to x minus a. this x minus a. Okay. So now what we will do is, for this point, for this particle P, let us find the moment of inertia about this line. Yes. So then what we will get is, the moment of inertia, because it is about the line xx, so I will call that moment of inertia as Ixx. And we know the equation for moment of inertia. We have got it equal to sum of all. You see, it will be m1 into what is it? X minus a1, m2 into x minus a2, m3 into x minus a3, and so on. So for that, what we will get is sigma of m into x minus a the whole square. When you simplify this, what we will get is equal to sigma of m into, within the brackets, a minus b whole square is a square plus b square minus 2ab. All of them under this sigma. So that will be equal to sigma of m x square after opening out the bracket plus sigma of m a square minus sigma of sum of 2 into a into x. Okay. Now this will be equal to 0. M is also multiplied to 2ax, so it will be 2ax into m. This will be equal to 0. Can you tell me why? A little thought will reveal that it will be equal to 0. Because x is a constant, 2 is a constant. So what we are having is m into a, sigma of that. So sigma of that. Now sigma of m into a will be m1 a1 plus m2 a2 plus m3 a3 plus m4 a4 and so on. And what is a here? The value of a is the distance of the point from the center of gravity. So a1 will be the distance of another point from center of gravity. A3 will be distance of third point from center of gravity, distance of fourth point from center of gravity. So all the distances are from center of gravity line, from G1, G2. When all the distances are from the center of gravity line, then already we have studied it is equal to, see here, m into a. It is the moment of the mass m. So we are finding the moment for all the different masses, or you can say, take it as a force. Moment of all the forces about that point through which passes the resultant. So the resultant for all these points will be passing only through this point, center of gravity line. If you find the moment of all the different masses about that point through which the resultant passes, we know it will be equal to 0. We have studied that already. That is why this value becomes 0. So we will therefore get now Ixx plus, not plus, equal to, now you are having sigma of ma square. A is the distance from the center of gravity line. So it is ma into a. So it is moments 2 times about the center of gravity line. So that will be the moment of inertia about that line which is passing through the center of gravity. So I will call it as Igg. And then after that, we have got sigma of mx square. So now this point, that x is a constant. Take it out, you will get sigma of m. Means it is sum of m1, m2, m3, m4 and everything, that is equal to capital M. So this whole thing is equal to capital M into x is a constant. You cannot take it as x1, x2, x3. No, see the figure, it is a constant. It is the distance between two fixed lines. It is not that some other point also is there for taking the value of x cannot. No, it is not there. Only between these two fixed points. So x is a constant. So if that x is taken out, you will get sigma of m, which is the sum of all the masses, which is equal to the total mass x. So this is one standard equation for moment of inertia, and it is called the parallel axis theorem, because we are taking the moment of inertia about a fixed line xx, which is parallel to the center of gravity line. Because of that parallel lines, from that the result that we get is known as, therefore, the parallel axis theorem. Right. So there's one more. It will take only a few minutes time. Let us also see that, which is the perpendicular axis theorem. So this is parallel axis theorem. Then you have now got the perpendicular axis theorem. Take the coordinate system now. This is x and this is y. Let us take a point P. At that point P, take the x value is equal to x value is equal to x coordinate there, y coordinate there equal to y. Now, from the x axis, the distance for the point P is in the y direction. So, for this point, if you take the distance as y, another point distance as y1, third point distance as y2, and so on, then we will get m1, y1, one more time y1. Because second moment we want for moment of inertia. So like that, m2, y2 square, m3, y3 square. So you are finding m into y square, sum of all that from the x-axis. So even though we are using the direction, the length along y, still it is a moment of inertia from the x-axis. So that is why it is called Ixx. Ixx is equal to the sum of my square. So this is y. So afterwards, when you have a doubt, then listen to this narration. Everything will be getting cleared. So this is of mass m, and this height is of the distance y. All very simple, but still student have some doubt, like how for Ixx you are taking the distance y. Why are you measuring in the direction of y when you want Ixx? This is the reason. From the x direction, the measurement will be along y axis. So that is why. So that is why we take for Ixx the distance in the y direction. So let us say that this is y. Then Ixx will be sigma of my square. So like that, from the y axis you have to take the measurement in the x direction. From the y axis. That is why Iyy will be equal to sigma of measurement in the x direction. So you will get sigma of m into y square. All of you know that there are three axes in the coordinate system. The x axis, y axis, and the other one is the z axis. So if you just try to pin up the area, so very clear that this is one face. So for that, this length which is there to form this area is called the z axis. Now, well, from the z axis, you can see what I am showing. From the z axis, if you find what is the distance, for the z axis we will take the distance to be z. So what will be the moment of inertia of this body about the z axis? It will be m into z one more time, so mz square. So what we will therefore get is IZZ is equal to sigma of mz square. But what is z? So what is this z? You can see very easy to understand that this z square will be equal to x square plus y square. X square is there for IYY and y square is there in IXX. So to get x square plus y square, we will have to take both the axes. So we will get I z is equal to sigma of m into z square, and that will be sigma of, from Pythagoras theorem, z square will be equal to y square plus x square. So now what we will get is, when you further simplify it, then I z will be equal to sigma of m y square is IXX plus sigma of IYY, and that will be sigma of mx square, which we are having here. So this will be I y. This is what is known as the perpendicular axis theorem, because we have taken so many perpendicular lines here, x-axis, y-axis, z-axis and so on. All three mutual perpendicular directions. So it will be like this. Right. So we have got two theorems that we have studied with regard to the moment of inertia. And till now what we have seen is, in the first place, what is inertia? So if you take moment once, opposite to whatever process is there at present, that will oppose the process. It is for the good, but we will realize it only later on. So that opposition which we have, how much it is depends upon the distance from where we are showing the opposition, from where we are showing the opposition. So that is why here distance is of significant criteria. Inertia is mass into distance. Moment of inertia is mass into one more time moment. That is why moment of inertia is called second moment also. So it is mass into distance. Second time moment. So that is why it becomes m into r square. So from inertia we then studied what is moment of inertia, and from moment of inertia we then also had come to know what is the radius of gyration, and if by putting r, if you have some doubts, confusing, then here itself put it equal to k. That's all, then the problem will get over. Why I have taken r is because it will match the r1, r2, r3 and so on. But if it is confusing, better leave it out. So everywhere the distance is now r. No, it is k. So it is k. Okay. So there, instead of r, you put everything as k. m1 k square plus m2 k square. Then till the last m n k n. Why k n, man? All the distances are equal. So here also only k square. So again r now k. So it will be k square k. Small k it is. Right. Then if this moment of inertia matches with the original moment of inertia for this original figure, then if both are equal, then this k is called the radius of gyration. So after that we have then studied the parallel axis theorem and the perpendicular axis theorem. After the board gets cleared out, we will come back again for further whatever be the explanations.